Everybody's wilding out. I did post a picture on Patreon. I kind of forgot I was doing that today, but I went and got a tattoo today, so I posted a picture of it over on Patreon and stuff. When it heals up, I'll show everybody. Right now, it's under some Tegaderm, which is like that. It's almost like saran wrap. It's like sticky bandage, but it breathable, kind of, whatever.
Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They want to let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house.
Imagine being so old that I post, you know, I like you're this ancient that I make a post on Twitter like, here's the show, and you comment nope, because you think that's how Twitter works. This is the same person that made a whole post that says, "Good morning to everyone but Will Bird, who hosts Cold Beer Confessional. Will likes to mock and make fun of the handicapped and tell women to eat a bag of dicks. Please pray for this man." So I said, I hope you choke on your bag of dicks. Troll game next level.
And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
She posted, I said, choking a whole bag, ha ha ha. Then I said, watch out, that judgment part of your blatant hypocrisy is showing. And she put, very sick. I won't call him a man. Men don't behave this way. Grotesquely human. Let me show you this fucking Twitter profile. This woman's wild. At least 6,000 years old. And wild. Wilding out. Somebody got their depends in a wad.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok.
Thanks,
I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. How's it going? I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. We're checking out Diana Brown. It's at Diana BR 32893997 because that's a catchy handle. Anyways, it's probably her home phone number. Anyways, she made some posts like stop following man, start following Jesus. She hopped onto one of my posts I made the other day. And it was this one. It was just MAGA is weird. Live now at everyone. Come join us. This is just kind of like a standard copy and paste post that I put everywhere. I put it on Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Facebook. I post this everywhere, and it's just like the links in it. It's never updated right in this little block, but the title is usually here. as long as I remember to update the title. Anyways, no one ever responds to these. Sometimes people like them and share them, but that's about it. She says, after you told a person on your show to go eat a bag of dicks last night on your show because you didn't like their comment, shows who you are. You are a vile man with a viper mouth. I will pray for you and hope God can fix your heart. And what she's responding to is I said, someone took a shot at me and is like, Will, you're a troublemaker with no proof of anything and you just say what you want. But don't say something smart ass back. This is from my dead mother who recently died. Like, this is a comment someone left me. Like, you're basically like a con man with no evidence and you're just trying to start trouble, because we were having a back and forth and I was like, no, it was about election fraud. And they're like, I'll say this, Will, you're just like my mom would say, you're a such and such with no proof and you just like start trouble. Something like that. You're a troublemaker with no proof. And they said, at the end of that comment, they said, my mother recently died. Don't say any smart comment back or something like that. And I was like, that's weird. What a weird flex. Like, you're going to come over here and say something to me and then say that I can't say anything to you back because you attributed this comment to your mother who recently died? That's weird. I don't play by those rules. Go eat a bag of dicks. And I just said it in passing, not to the person. They weren't here. They were on Twitter. But I said it in passing on my show. Go eat a bag of dicks. So this person is very upset. It says, after you told a person on your show to go eat a bag of dicks last night on your show, they say show twice, on your show twice for some reason, because you didn't like their comment, shows who you are. You are a vile man with a viper mouth. I will pray for you and hope God can fix your heart. Now, I think telling somebody to eat a bag of dicks is kind of like a throwaway line, right? Like, go eat a bag of dicks. Like, I don't think it's like them's fighting words. I thought it was a throwaway line. Clearly they didn't. And they let this comment. So I said, sorry, you wanted a bag of dicks too? Feel free to take one as you leave, which I thought was pretty funny, right? Because they're announcing their departure. And I'm like, take some dicks with you. I saw he got promoted. Take some dicks with you as you leave. They responded, oh, no. He worries I have left, and obviously so has your soul. Good luck, buddy. Oh, no. Worries I have left, and obviously so has your soul. Good luck, buddy. I don't even know what they're saying. And I said, but here you are. Because they said, I have left. Right? I have left. And I said, but here you are. They respond with, nope. And I said, thank God our dumb bitch capacity is already at 0. But then I got to I got to thinking about this lady in this comment, so I clicked on her profile, and I was like, I wonder what she shares. Probably a bunch of cutard, stupid shit, which it is. Like proletarial aerial shit. Nick Alvear shit. Like cutard shit, right? So I clicked on her profile, and I was like, I was going to read this, and this is what I scroll up on. So she shared my post here. It says, stop following man and follow Jesus. And then she starts sharing. I said, so you wanted a bag of dicks too? Feel free to take one. Also, it wasn't for their opinion. It was for attacking me, then telling me that I couldn't respond because their mother recently died. Deserves a bag of dicks. Thanks for stopping by, though. And I think there's and then someone says, Catherine says, amazing, Diane apparently watched your show, but doesn't know why you said that. Reminds me of all the maggots who refuse to listen to facts and evidence of Trump's lies. Facepalm. So anyway, she's sharing my post. So then she shares some stuff about Madison Marquette that's going on with Ariel and Madison Marquette are fighting right now. But I don't do this. Friend of my enemy of my enemy, whatever. Ariel's a fucking cute-hearted piece of shit, basically. Anyways, so then she wakes up the very next morning. I haven't engaged with her. I haven't spoke to her. I haven't said anything. And she says, good morning to everyone but Will Bird, who hosts Cold Beer Confessional. Will likes to mock and make fun of the handicapped and tells women to eat bags of dick. Bags of dick. I don't think that's exactly bags of dick. It would either be bag of dicks or bags of dicks. I don't think you could have bags of singular dick. But whatever. Pray for this man, please. I think I said please don't. And then I told her to choke on the whole bag. Choke on that whole bag of dicks. All right. Apparently she didn't like that one either because we got up here and I said, choke on the whole bag. Haha. Watch out. That judgment part of your blatant hypocrisy is showing. Right. Christians are always the first one to start judging motherfuckers immediately and telling them how they should live and I'll pray for your soul. And then she says, very sick. I won't call him a man. Men don't behave this way. Grotesquely human. Very sick, grotesquely human. I think they got some of their adjectives messed up. But anyways, that is our good friend of the show, Diane Brown. At Diane BR 328939997. It's probably our home phone number. But there you go, Diane Brown. It's wild in these YouTube or these Twitter streets over here. It's fucking wild, dude. I don't know what the hell these people are doing, but they're living it up in their own little world somehow. Somehow they're living it up in their own little world. Anyways, we were talking about Trump yesterday. I didn't get a chance to play this video, but there's a wild one in here. And there's an article I want to read. There was you know how Donald Trump's always talking about gaffes and people like Joe Biden, he can't speak, he can't do this, he can't do that. Check out this fucking gaffe here. I didn't even see this one making the rounds. Like one of the mods shared it to me and I hadn't even seen it, but here you go.
Okay, what on God's green earth is Donald Trump trying to say?
Which is incapable of solving even the smallest problem. The simplest of problems we can no longer solve. We can't do anything. We are an institute and a powerful death penalty. We will put this on.
Oh, we are an institute and a powerful death penalty. We will put this on. No, that makes sense.
Like I've said from the beginning, anybody can fucking fact check me. They're both too fucking old. What is happening?
What on God's green earth is Donald Trump trying to say?
Which is incapable of solving even the smallest problem.
He doesn't even say smallest. He says swallest, which is incapable of solving even the smallest problem. Tiny little minute. Not like think the opposite of my giant hands. My hands are gigantic. Think the opposite of the smallest.
Even the smallest problem. The simplest of problems we can no longer solve. We can't do anything. We are an institute and a powerful death penalty. We will put this on.
Oh, we are an institute and a powerful death penalty. We will put this on. No, that makes sense. Okay.
Don't it, though? And then this one's funny. Now, this is not Trump, obviously. This is a cartoon remix of an impression by a guy named J.L. Cauvin. Is that his name? Cauvin. Cauvin. Here you go. This is actually pretty funny. Somebody did the impression and someone else did the artwork. Right, drew the cartoon.
So we have a guy. He's a desperate guy. He used to work in tech. And his name's J.P. Vance. And he comes to me and he says, sir.
He keeps getting J.D. Vance's name wrong. J.P. Pants.
I want to be a senator in Ohio so bad, sir. And I know how well you do in Ohio. Please endorse me, sir. Please. And I say, okay. You seem like a nice guy. I'll endorse you. And then this freak from Silicon Valley, Peter Thiel, he's a very rich guy, very intense and uncomfortable, but he's got a lot of money and he hates the left. And he says to me, sir, I think this guy would make a great vice president, sir. And I said, who? And he said, J.C. Chazet. And I said, okay, I think I...
J.C. Chazet.
I endorsed him in Ohio, if I don't... And he said, yes, sir, that's true. And so we put him on the short list. We put him on a very short list, but he's got to be tall. We don't like the short people. And he was pretty tall.
It's so bad when you can't tell, like, satire from reality. We put him on a short list, but not because he's short, folks. We don't like the short people. We have very tall people here in MAGA country.
and he's lost a little weight. He used to be a fat son of a bitch, and now he's sort of like husky. You know how the parents used to
That makes it even funnier that his mom's in that movie. His mom's beating the hell out of him, going, "Lord ass, get your fat ass over here. I'm gonna kill you."
Oh, no, my son's not fat. He's husky. Darling, your son is a fat tub of crap. But, we put him on the ticket, and we find out he's got no charisma. He talks about his book, Hillbilly Bob Thornton. And
Hillbilly Bob Thornton.
I didn't read it. I thought, I don't want to learn about Billy Bob Thornton, although he did sleep with Angelina Jolie, who wanted to sleep with me, by the way. Nobody wants to report that, but she wanted me before she got Billy Bob. He was sort of a consolation prize. But I never read Billy Bob Elegy, but I thought this is a guy who's connecting with the white trash, which we need strong white trash support. And a few of them, are maybe passed out on drugs or just, being stupid and accidentally voted for Sleepy Joe in 2020. So I said, we need somebody who can talk their toothless, drug-addicted language. And they said, sir, what about J.P. Pruitt? And I said, who?
What about J.P. Pruitt?
Original hand model from Zoolander? I was in Zoolander, by the way. And they said, no, J.C. Dance. And I said, okay. He said, I think I endorsed him in Wisconsin for Senate. And they said, yes, sir, you did, somewhere around there, sir. And so we put him on the ticket, and now he's talking. He doesn't even know how to talk about Mountain Dew, which is, that's sort of like the sacramental wine of my people. Some people go to church and they have that cheap wine. But
I've broadcast X for years. I can't get, you can broadcast video there pretty easy. I don't use Streamlabs either. But you can broadcast there pretty easily. The problem is getting the computer to work for Spaces. Video on X and Spaces are different.
my people worship at the Church of Trump, and they drink Mountain Dew, diet and regular, by the way, and sometimes Code Red, the real intense ones, the ones who are, you don't maybe want to be around after midnight, they're like gremlins. They're sometimes into Mountain Dew, Code Red, and oh boy, they are tough, and kind of scary.
Really
but the
system.
point is, he doesn't know how to talk to people, and we found out the worst thing. He's got a wife, which of course he has a wife, and he doesn't call her mother, so that's we call that an improvement. It's called improved over Mike Pence. But we find out his wife is a brown person, which we're not racist, okay? But we, hillbilly eulogy, we thought would be, white, okay? Not brown, not and like a solid brown, not like a sort of like, oh, did you go to Florida for vacation? No, this is like you're on the equator.
It's a solid brown. Not like you got the tanning pack for the summer. Now this is a solid brown.
For vacation, or you have parents who aren't whites. And so we feel very deceived, and our numbers are not doing great with TJ Watt as my vice presidential candidate. But we feel so betrayed by his wife because, I think we said, well, how's his wife? He's a rich guy. He's got
TJ Watt is a fucking linebacker, isn't he? Doesn't he play for the Steelers or some shit?
that wife, and they said, ooh, Shaw Vance. And I said, ooh, Shaw Vance. Sounds like a hot name, like almost a stripper name. Like, hi, I'm Shaw. Well, that's exotic. And what's your last name? Vance. Ooh, that sounds like your daddy was rich. Okay, Shaw Vance. But actually it was Usha Vance, which all of a sudden doesn't sound like a hot stripper. It sounds like somebody born in a country that I don't support. Even though I have great friends in India, my friend Nathan Modi runs the country. But the point is, we have been led so poorly by R.J. Reynolds.
No. TJ Watt is a linebacker.
Maybe not vice president. We might be looking at other people like my great friend Valtrex Rumpelstiltskin, and Tim Scott hasn't stopped tap dancing since I rejected him. So with that kind of stamina and energy, maybe I pick him. But we feel very betrayed, and I have to
JJ Watt is defensive end, I think.
say, RJ, if you don't pick up your game, okay, if you don't sort of step up, it's called step up, like Channing Tatum. If you don't step up, They're going to be having hillbilly effigy, and probably the real thing also if I don't get elected. You know, they've step up, like Channing Tatum. If you don't step up, they're going to be having hillbilly effigy, and probably the real thing also if I don't get elected. You know, they've saved the gallows from Mike Pence, and they've reinforced them to support.
They saved the gallows from Mike Pence, and they made them stronger.
They're going to be having hillbilly effigy, and probably the real thing also if I don't get elected. You know, they've saved the gallows from Mike Pence, and they've reinforced them to support a fatter person to get hanged. So just, I would recommend to you that you start doing better at rallies, maybe find a nice white wife, and most importantly, don't let us lose, or else it's going to be a hillbilly funeral on January 6th. Okay, but other than that, we're very proud to have you on the ticket.
On January 6th, not on election night, on January 6th when they go to certify it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Wild, dude. It's so hard to tell. Like Trump, I could see Trump saying all these things. I could see Trump saying all these. I don't know what this one is. I just saw this one from Brian Cohen.
President Trump has said repeatedly that
Oh, this was bad. This was bad. This is dark Brandon mode. It's almost like they gave Biden some extra amphetamine, and they're like, dude, you don't even have to worry about getting reelected. Say whatever the fuck you want. Because Trump said that he would have had hostages released without giving anything up, and dark Brandon's like, why didn't he do it when he's president? Boom.
he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he's president?
Sir, what did you That was Biden
Damn!
in the aftermath of a huge victory for the White House and the United States, wherein the president negotiated a major prisoner exchange with Russia, which included American Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan.
So we get a major prisoner exchange with Russia, which I think everybody should celebrate. If we had a normal fucking candidate, instead of Donald Trump, that candidate would be saying it's great that these people are back home. That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. We need to do more of this. But instead, we get Trump who's like, yeah, but I could have done it. I could have done the thing without giving up anything.
Biden also posted on Twitter, after enduring unimaginable suffering and uncertainty, the Americans detained in Russia are safe, free, and have begun their journeys back into the arms of their families. And yet, despite the unequivocal good news, Donald Trump, for his part, decided to melt down because good news for America is bad news for his campaign. He took
Same reason he doesn't want a look. He could have endorsed or let the Congress endorse the border bill, right, that was going through. He could have said, look, I told him to support it. This is what I want to bring to the table. We're going to do more of that when I get elected. But I called each and every one of those Republican Congress members and told them to support Biden's border bill, right? But instead, he told them all to fucking tank it because that's what he wants to run on is the border. The same way that he can't be happy that Americans are home because he could have done it better, and it's bad for him if it's good for America.
to choose social writing. So when are they going to release the details of the prisoner swap with Russia? How many people do we get versus them? Are we going to be paying them cash? Are they giving us cash? Please withdraw that question because I'm sure the answer is no. Are we releasing murderers, killers, or thugs? Just curious because we never make good deals at anything, but especially hostage swaps. Our negotiators are always an embarrassment to us. I got back many hostages and gave the opposing country nothing and never any cash. To do so is bad press.
Our negotiate. He's even attacking people that just work fucking regular jobs, right? Our negotiators are always an embarrassment to us. I got back many, many hostages and gave the opposing country nothing. Donald, love him, hate him, whatever. Donald Trump has basically turned fucking the political sphere, at least on the right, into like the goddamn WWE.
Precedent for the future. That's the way it should be, or the situation will get worse and worse. They are extorting the United States of America. They're calling the trade complex. That's so nobody can figure out how bad it is. And if you want to
By the way, he's lying, right? He did prisoner exchanges. So Trump claims that he gave opposing countries nothing to secure freedom of American prisoners is false. Though Trump obtained or helped to obtain the release of some Americans held abroad without having to release anyone in return, he also presided over at least 4 exchanges in which he approved the release of prisoners from U.S. detention in exchange for foreign governments releasing Americans. 4 times he did that while he was president. I would have gave them nothing. I got back tons of prisoners, never gave them anything, except for the 4 times that you did. He can't even be proud of those moments because he's got to lie about them or pretend they didn't exist.
Why Donald Trump's immediate reaction to American prisoners coming back home,
including with Iran. You know, he's super salty about Iran and the money that they got back. That was technically their money, right? We had it seized, but it was their money. Including Iran, he gave back I think I'm remembering this right. There was a student at like Princeton or Yale or some shit that ended up being, he was imprisoned in Iran for a while. Is that right? He was like an Ivy League student that was in Iran. A lot of people thought he was a spy and shit. But basically, they said that he was trying to bring back biological samples or biological material or something back to the U.S. without authorization. I don't remember what the Ivy League school was, but that was one of the ones he did. And I think he said it was a one-on-one hostage swap or something. And federal prosecutors dropped charges. So they swapped somebody for him. I don't even know if we got that name of who they swapped. Trump himself said it was one-on-one, like 1-for-1. And they dropped charges against some other Iranian scientist or some shit. I think I remember that right. We can look it up in a minute if we need to.
To U.S. soil is to have a complete meltdown and attack the president who got it done. Here's why.
The reporter from the Wall Street Journal who is being held by Russia will be released almost immediately after the election, but definitely before I assume office. He will be home. He will be safe. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me, and I don't believe he'll do it for anyone else.
It's because...
Wow.
Here's why.
The reporter from the Wall Street Journal who is being held by Russia will be released.
So he wanted this as a campaign promise. It's the same exact thing as border security. He wanted this as I didn't even know he made this statement. He wanted this as a campaign promise. That journalist will be home because Putin will do it for me. And then I don't think he'll do it for anybody else. And then he does it for Joe Biden.
Released almost immediately.
Putin plays this motherfucker like, I think Trump admires Putin. I think that he thinks he's a strong leader. I think that he thinks that people respect him, not fear him. Or maybe he knows they fear him. I think he thinks that Putin is like almost like a hero to him. And he wants to be a colleague with Putin, right? He wants to be the same guy. He wants to be strong. He wants people to respect him the same way. No one says anything bad about him. The media respects him too much to post negative stuff about him. His political opponents are terrified of him. And he wants that colleague thing so bad. So he wouldn't do it with anybody. I think he'll do it with me. I don't think he'll do it with anybody else.
Immediately after the election, but definitely before I assume office. He will be home. He will be safe. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me. And I don't believe he'll do it for anyone else.
It's because Trump wanted to use the release as a bargaining chip to get him into office. Because he's so close with the autocrat who imprisoned those people, Trump was certain that his election would mean that Evan would walk free. And so he dangled that in front of voters as a carrot to elect him back into office. But now that Biden negotiated his release, Trump loses that bargaining chip, and so he's mad. He never gave a shit about Evan or his freedom, but he does give a shit about exploiting bad news for his own personal gain. And now that Evan's off the table, Trump is furious because it hurts him. Because lest you forget...
If Trump wasn't the type of person he is, and just said we would do everything we can to get this guy home, this reporter home, and he had already talked about it, the normal thing to do when that guy comes home and say, this is great. It's amazing. Glad I was going to do it, you know. As soon as I got in, that was going to be a top priority. But I'm just glad he's home.
Donald Trump isn't out to help anyone other than Donald Trump. And notice, too, Trump said the words, I don't believe they'll do it for anyone else. That wasn't just him pontificating about what Putin would do. That was him telling Putin what to do. He was signaling to Vladimir Putin.
No one cares. No one cares about this. Right? There's still one. All you're saying is one prisoner wasn't. He couldn't get that one prisoner while he was there. Right? Like, all you're saying is, all you're doing is making an excuse. He said he would have done it. without giving up anything or any prisoners. And he's never given up prisoners. A lie, right? He does the exact same thing. And then you're like, well, those other two he couldn't have done. Well, he could have done the one.
Putin that he didn't want him to release the prisoners because he, and he alone, wanted to be able to benefit from the deal, meaning he was willing to allow Americans to languish in prison in Russia because he wanted to help himself. The extent to which this man is a self-obsessed, dangerous narcissist who stands for nothing but his own pursuit of power at all costs cannot be overstated. What's worse for Trump, the White House also made clear that it wasn't just President Biden who negotiated this release. Kamala Harris also...
He's like uneducated America's fucking mermaid. Right? Wasn't it mermaids that would like sing and like lull soldiers like off ships? They dive in. Like, he's like uneducated America's fucking mermaid, right? He starts saying, they're very tiny. That's the smallest neck I've ever seen on a man. And they're like, hell yeah, I'm jumping in now.
Played a central role in the negotiations.
Can you talk us through any involvement that the vice president had? Was she also speaking directly to other leaders and allies?
So, as I said in my opening comments, both President Biden and Vice President Harris have made the return of unjustly detained American hostages an absolute priority. And in this particular case, Vice President Harris actually had an opportunity to engage with Chancellor Scholz earlier this year at an opportune and timely moment at the Munich Security Conference, where she talked about this issue with him. That followed on a conversation that the president had just a short time before that, and it was in the run of high-level engagements and
I already told you no one cared on the other platform. You left a comment.
Back and forth that the president and the chancellor were having, that Vice President Harris was actually able to sit face-to-face with Chancellor Scholz and talk through the elements of this. And then I've sat in the Oval Office more times than I can count over the course of the past years, providing briefings and updates on this and getting peppered with questions by both the president and the vice president, thinking through the strategy, iterating the approach, which she was a participant in, very much a core member of the team that helped make this happen.
Which means that she will also be able to take credit for the thing that Trump wanted to preserve for himself. Add that to the list of ways that Trump is crumbling at the hands of Kamala Harris in this campaign.
Why did you talk those three people into getting in a car, drunk, driving home, and all dying? Well, I didn't even talk to two of them. Just the driver. That's the only one I was talking to. Got it.
This isn't even the only time that Trump has tried to entrench a problem for his own political benefit. After years and years of Republicans demanding a legislative fix to the border, Senators Murphy, Sinema, and conservative Republican James Lankford negotiated a border bill that was so conservative it didn't even include comprehensive immigration reform. It was only border security, exactly what Republicans wanted. And yet, because Trump was so desperate to keep the border broken so that he could wield it as a cudgel against Democrats on the campaign trail, he sent out his little clarion call to his acolytes in the Republican Party and managed to kill the bill. A bill that, again, was negotiated by a Republican and would fix the exact issues that Republicans had claimed were absolutely necessary to fix, because it's
right there. We're being invaded. I'm going to stop the invasion. This is an army. They're taking black jobs, and it's an invasion. This is the horrible thing to say. They are tainting the blood of America. That is a literal Hitler-esque. That is something Hitler used against the Jews, tainting the blood, right, of the Aryan nation. But when the bill's there ready to sign, he calls up all his buddies and said, don't do it. That's what I'm running on. I'm running on the border can stay open till I get there. Don't sign the bill. Fucking tank the bill, destroy it. We're not doing it. I'm running on that. Yes, Mr. Trump.
It's not about fixing problems. It is about helping himself. And his meddling was so obvious that even Republicans pointed it out in public.
The problem is the Republicans, not the Democrats. We know how the Democrats are going to vote. It's too many of my Republican colleagues are unwilling to vote to secure the border.
First, there was an effort to make law, which requires you to deal with Democrats. And then our nominee for president didn't seem to want us to do anything at all. That took months.
Everybody who comes on this floor and says our border's broken, we should do something about it, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, we didn't get there. President Trump opposed a Senate bill. We couldn't find a better way forward that would get.
Imagine just outright saying this, right? Just outright, and people still try to deny it, right? He's not the sitting president. He's a presidential nominee. He's going to be the presumptive nominee. And you're like, hey, everybody says the border's broken. You're right. We tried to get a bill, but this guy didn't like it and told us we weren't allowed to vote for it. So we'll try again later.
60 votes.
It was painful to be able to watch it. Got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways after President Trump said don't fix anything during the presidential election. It's the single biggest issue during the election. Don't resolve this.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Not Democrats.
Right.
In fact, Trump dangling fixes to problems for electoral benefit is a long-standing pattern. He promised to
Yeah, except we just saw 5 fucking Republicans citing nothing about the bills in it, or that they were upset about something buried in the bill. Instead, they all sided Donald Trump told us not to. Donald Trump didn't like it. Donald Trump told us not to.
Upgrade our nation's infrastructure, and yet what did he do on infrastructure when he was actually in office? Absolutely nothing. He promised a middle-class tax cut, and what did he do? Nothing. He promised a healthcare law to replace the ACA that would be cheaper and more comprehensive, and yet what did he do? Nothing. He promised an avalanche of jobs, and yet how many did he deliver? He lost 3 million. This guy will say quite literally whatever he needs to get elected, but once in office, he'll do what he did the first time around and focus on the actual priorities, tax cuts for billionaires and stripping women's reproductive rights away. That is what Donald Trump is focused on. Do not listen to what he says, watch what he does. And look, I could go on and on with example after
They literally quote him saying Donald Trump said, no, this is a big, it's not about the foreign aid. It's not about the stuff in it they didn't like. Donald Trump said no, he's running on this.
Example of Trump exacerbating problems because he wants to blame the Democrats for them, but all it does is put on full display his moral bankruptcy and the extent to which he truly cares about nothing but himself. This man doesn't love his country or its constituents. Donald Trump loves Donald Trump. I've got a really exciting...
It was bipartisan negotiated and was ready to pass. Like, everybody thought it was going to pass until Trump made a phone call.
Announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a life...
You must be the deafest bitch in the world. Oh, you don't like this? I'm just going to say something else. Oh, you don't like this? I'm just going to say it on a different platform. Oh, you don't like this? I'm just going to say it over here.
Long dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.
There you go. Donald Trump upset that people are coming home after being held prisoner in Russia. Why? Because he didn't get a chance to do it. The same reason that he nixed the fucking border bill, the bipartisan negotiated border bill that was ready to pass. They fought over this thing for like months, making concessions here, adding stuff here, taking stuff away here to get people on board. It was all ready to pass. And when asked why it didn't pass, Republicans come out and say, well, Trump didn't like it. Trump, just some random guy in Florida that didn't like it. And he wants to run on it. So there we go. We're not doing it. Man, I want to play this next video, but it's definitely going to get copyright struck. Oh, let's read this article first. Support the stream because we're going to get a copyright strike from Ryan tonight. Ryan Upchurch, I'm sure. This comes from the Rolling Stones from a guy named Justin Glaw. Now, who is Justin Glaw? Justin Glaw runs a Substack. Let's see if we can find his Substack. American.doom.com. He runs a Substack where he talks about stuff that's going on with Q and people that have been convinced that Trump is the Messiah. You're not balancing the space. You're just saying shit that's wrong. The border bill had laws buried in it that could not be removed of past that would not be good for the country. That's not true. The people who didn't vote for it literally sided Trump. They didn't say we can't change this. They negotiated over it for months and months and months. And when they didn't vote for it, they sided Trump didn't want us to. So you're not evening anything out. You just sound like a retard reporting what Trump wants you to say. No, it's not even factually true. Anyways, he runs Doom, American Doom. They do a lot of stuff on like crazy QAnon, crazy Trump supporters, threats, stuff, all this stuff that's going on, right? And he has been working on a story for a while, and it was picked up by the Rolling Stones, or Rolling Stone. Let's see. Here's the Rolling Stone article. Oh, shit. I clicked on the wrong one. Here it is. These swing state election officials are pro-Trump election deniers. Nearly 70 pro-Trump conspiracists are election officials in key battleground counties, and they are poised to make a giant mess on Election Day. When election night comes in, this might be their new plan. This might be their, instead of just saying, oh, they shut down the counting. We were cheated. We knew it was happening. They rigged the machines. There was an Italian satellite. There was, instead of a Sharpie gate. When election night comes in November, it will be up to thousands of local election officials to certify election results in their counties. Among these election officials are scores of Donald Trump supporters who believe his lies and conspiracies about stolen elections and will be in prime position to act on those beliefs to try to aid his campaign in November. In the swing state of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, Rolling Stone and American Doom have identified nearly 70 pro-Trump election conspiracists currently working as county election officials who have questioned the validity of elections or delayed or refused to certify results. At least 20 of these county election officials have refused or delayed certification in recent years. Certification of election results is what legal experts consider a ministerial task and one required by state and local law. But as Trump's lies about the 2020 election have taken hold, Republicans nationwide have decided that certification provides them an opportunity to hear fraud allegations and refuse to officially count their local votes. Republicans have refused to certify election results at least 25 times since Trump lost in 2020 in the 2020 election to President Joe Biden. I think we are going to see mass refusals to certify the election in November, says Democratic election lawyer Mark Elias. Everything we are seeing about this election is that the other side is more organized, more ruthless, and more prepared. While refusals and delays of certifications have not held up in court, in Georgia and Arizona, pro-Trump local election officials are seeking to make certification discretionary. Lawsuits that are currently being decided by state judges in order to give his campaign another method to challenge the election results in November. Polls indicate that the race between Trump and presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris will be close. If employed on a large scale, the certification refusal movement would have a disastrous consequences, fueling the fire of election conspiracies and delaying and tallying the votes to crucial determination of the next president. So he doesn't need. So I don't think anybody's saying that they'll try to delay or not certify. That'll go to court and be upheld because they'll find 1 million illegal immigrant votes. But it'll be enough to fuel his conspiracies because everybody be on the internet saying, oh, well, such and such county didn't certify because they said they had fraud. And then such and such, and then the other ones didn't certify. And then this one didn't certify. And in the state of North Carolina, 3 counties didn't certify. And if you can't certify at the county, you can't certify at the state. It's just enough to put that out there. Again, like the stupid video where they're claiming they brought in suitcases of ballots. That 100% is fake fucking bullshit. They're actual legal votes that they brought in as basically like a buffer to count when there were slow times or whatever. It's absolute fucking bullshit. But all he needs is that. He needs that bullshit, that doubt for his fucking followers to run with it. David Hancock, an election official in Gwinnett County, just outside of Atlanta, is at the center of the certification refusal movement in his state. A quote, at this moment, there are no guidelines on what is required to certify an election in Georgia. But some of us are working to change that. Stand by, Hancock wrote on his Facebook page in late May. Rolling Stone and American Doom compiled its list of election denial election officials by culling media reports about refusals to certify results and other denialist behavior, and by searching the social media profile of hundreds of election officials in the 6 swing states. The investigation revealed hundreds of posts from officials expressing beliefs and lies about the 2020 election and skepticism about November, as well as a myriad posts about every right-wing culture war issue and conspiracy theory imaginable. A veritable stew simmering with the toxicity of online American right. Quote, wow, I can't wait till after the next big election. We'll get to find out more Biden corruption, Ann Wheeler, an election canvasser in Bay County, Michigan, wrote in January 2023. Another Michigan election canvasser, Bonnie Kellogg in Muskegon County, shared a false right-wing news story in November 2020 headline, breaking down the greatest electoral heist in American history, among other election denial content. Quote, I don't trust the runoff, Larry Brown, an election official in Pickens County, Georgia, who has posted prolifically about his belief in Trump's election lies, said 2 weeks after the 2020 election, as Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock faced Republican Kelly Loeffler in a runoff. Quote, the general election has turned into a mess. In Pennsylvania, Erie County Commissioner Charlie Bale, these are all people that are in positions of power there that are repeating this stuff on social media, whose role includes overseeing elections with fellow commission members, is one of 19 election deniers throughout the state with the power over elections. Quote, anyone in this country with an ounce of common sense knows the left cheated to some extent, Bell wrote in a November 2021 post. Their philosophy isn't about making it easier to vote, just easier to manipulate the vote. That's his own statement on his own Facebook page. Days after the 2020 election, Walter Noasad, a commissioner in Douglas County, Nevada, shared an article in which disgraced Trump lawyer Sidney Powell falsely claimed that Trump's legal team had found evidence of voter fraud that could overturn the election results in multiple states. Quote, someone's hand has been discovered in the cookie jar, he wrote. Another Douglas County commissioner, Danny Tarkanian, wrote in November 2020 that mail-in ballots are the biggest issue in our election integrity, along with ballot harvesting. This is what the GOP should be questioning. The Republicans, I think it's disgraceful that anything that allows more legal people to vote, the Republicans are against. 19 states have varying levels of election administration, with county election officials numbering in the thousands. Rolling Stone and American, all it takes is one county and one state refusing to certify for whatever reason, and they can't certify the state at the state level. Number in the thousands. Rolling Stone and American Doom focused on pivotal counties in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Elias, the Democratic election lawyer, believes the findings in this investigation only represent the tip of the iceberg because Republicans are counting on not just that they can disrupt the election in big counties. They're counting on the fact that if they don't certify in several small counties, you cannot certify statewide results, right? If it's within the margin of error, there's nothing they can do about it. You're not fucking listening. You're not fucking listening. The people the Republicans who refused to vote for the bill on record said Donald Trump doesn't want us to. Donald Trump said no. If they had issues with the fucking bill for the border, they spent months negotiating back and forth, got what they wanted, and everybody expected to pass. Then when it didn't pass, they said, Senator, why didn't this pass? Congressman, why didn't this pass? Mitch McConnell, why didn't this pass? They all cited that Trump told them no. They were okay with everything in the bill, and Trump told them no. They negotiated it bipartisan until they had enough votes to make it pass, and Trump told them no. They never once went on the news and said, well, there was money for Ukraine and Israel in there, or there was money for this in there, or there was money for that in there. They said, why didn't this pass? We just watched interviews. Trump told us not to. So you can believe whatever the fuck you want, but what they said was, Trump told us not to. The beliefs and behavior of the election officials discovered by this investigation are part of a widespread effort to call the results of November's election into question. Elias and swing state Democrats say those efforts include massive voter challenges, implementation of unreliable hand recounts, restriction of voter registration rules, Republican takeover of local election boards via legislation and certification refusals. With an army of Republican lawyers and state lawmakers crafting voter suppression rules and laws across the country, pro-Trump Republicans can also count as allies some of those thousands of men and women currently serving local election officials. Most of these officials carry out their duties with little to no fanfare. It's only since 2020 that routine, often boring work of administering local elections has become the target of robust right-wing electioneering. Before 2020 and before Trump, this was just a thing that they had to do, right? They went through it, they found their thing, they certified, right? Now it's almost like, does he want me to certify? Well, what if he didn't win? What are the votes looking like? It's become a political issue rather than a procedural issue. Most of these officials carry out their duties with little to no fanfare. It's only since 2020. Local election has become the target of robust right-wing electioneering, with efforts to place pro-Trump zealots on election boards who are increasingly refusing to certify results in pursuit of bogus fraud allegations. Many of the election deniers discovered in the investigation share their zeal for Trump on social media platforms like Facebook, where they frequently express their belief in election lies amidst screeds on the broader right-wing ecosystem of conspiracies. Hancock, who says he was appointed to the Gwinnett County election in May of 2023, is a good example. Those of us looking to expose what happened in the November election are not going to stop on January 20th, he wrote on Facebook in 2020. Hancock has shared posts about the discredited Dinesh D'Souza documentary, 2,000 Mules, and Gateway pundit stories that are about supposed voter fraud in Georgia. He said most attendees of the Jan 6 rally at the U.S. Capitol that led to the violent insurrection were patriots who have done no wrong. He is just one of dozens of election officials whose Facebook pages look like the unhinged rantings of extremely online conspiracy theorists. Examination of thousands of posts from hundreds of election officials show unapologetic belief in Trump election lies, support for political violence, themes of Christian nationalism, and controversial race-based views. The posts show that belief in widespread election fraud has proliferated among Republican election officials, who are also skeptical that the coming November election will be free and fair. Some of the officials see Trump as a messiah-like figure battling nefarious forces for the soul of our country. Quote, this election is not about two different men, Kellogg shared. This is in Muskegon County. It's about two completely different Americas. Choose wisely. Lizzie Ulmer, a senior vice president at the States United Democracy Center, which tracks election deniers at the state and national level, says the election conspiracists are at work at every level working to call this November's results into question, but are especially focused on certification. So I'm calling it now on election night. If he doesn't landslide win, if he doesn't secure a victory that night, you're going to see these people saying, I'm not certified in such and such county, Gwinnett County, North Carolina. Just wait. From the influence of calling for hand count of ballots to pressure it's only a delay tactic. The court will eventually shut them down, and they'll have to certify because there'll be no evidence of anything. But that delay tactic is what they need for their people to get riled up. From the influence of calling for hand count ballots to pressure not to certify an election, it's all connected to this broader effort to change the rules so that, if needed, election deniers can change the results of an election. Ulmer says, it makes sense that certification has become one of the tactics used by the election denier movement to throw sand into the gears of a running free, fair, and smooth election. The nightmare scenario on election night 2024 recently played out in Washoe County, Nevada, where a moderate Republican fought to prevent the county commission, which oversees elections, from becoming majority election denier. Events there in recent months show the chaos that could result from this certification refusal movement in November. On June 11th, Republican Clara Andriola, who was expelled from her local party for not towing the line on election denialism, faced off against Mark Lawson, a former firefighter who was fired for possession and distribution of steroids and who has questioned the results of the 2020 election. Andriola won, but local Republicans cited problems with mail-in ballots and bizarre claim about someone in a vote counting room with a thumb drive, a claim they probably just made up. Well, someone said they saw somebody in a vote counting room with a thumb drive as evidence of fraud. On June 21st, Washoe County Commissioner Michael Clark and Jeanne Herman, both Republicans, voted against certifying the results of the primary. Andriola voted with the commission's two Democrats to certify the results, which showed her beating Lawson by 1,725 votes. We're not saying that everything was perfect and that there isn't room for improvement, Andriola told local media. All we're saying is that this election, these are the results. Following the certification, Nevada businessman Robert Beatles, an outspoken election denier who helped finance Lawson's campaign, personally paid $150,000 for the county to recount the results of 3 races, including a recount for the Democratic primary contest, as well as the race between Andriola and Lawson. After 3 days of counting, the results were exactly the same, except Lawson had lost by 1 more vote than was initially counted. So it actually got worse for the person challenging it. But that wasn't enough. Beatles and other election deniers demanded a hand recount or an entirely new election. And that's what they'll try to do. These results are tainted in some way. We got to do it, in any wrench that they throw into it gives their people power, right? It puts ideas in their head. It gets them going. It gets them screaming. It gets them showing up places and threatening people. You guys remember in Detroit while they were trying to certify the fucking vote and they were calling these people's homes and threatening their kids and hopping on a Zoom chat for objections and saying, I hope your kids are safe tonight, you dirty fucking bitch. And all they were trying to do was like a procedural, okay, we counted this many votes, this many to Biden, this many Trump, certify. They were making live death threats during that. Could you imagine that if that's going on in fucking 60 counties spread out through the United States? And Trump says, you really need to look at Gwinnett County, North Carolina. Something fishy went on there. How many people are going to call in? How many people are going to threat? How many people are going to do it? Yeah, we determined you've got selective memory, hearing, vision. We know you didn't. Under pressure from Beatles and citizens who spoke for hours at a July 9th meeting, Andriola then reversed her certification vote and joined Clark and Herman in voting to refuse to certify the primary results for a second time. In the days that followed Andriola's surprising change of heart, the Nevada Secretary of State and Washoe County Attorney reminded the commission of its legal duty to certify the results. On July 16th, Andriola and Clark finally came around, voting with the board's two Democrats to certify the results of the election, which had taken place more than a month before. Herman still voted against certification. This debacle played out quietly, mostly in the local press, and held up the certification of Andriola's win and that of a school board candidate. It took a month to certify the results, which only came after Nevada's Secretary of State and Attorney General asked that the Supreme Court to qualify certification as a required duty of county commissioners, like the one in Washoe. Now, there was no evidence that anything was tampered with, anything was changed. They did two different recounts. Both of them came back the same. Nothing. Nothing at all. I don't care. Don't watch. Bye. I absolutely love watching you, but lately it's been so much bad talk on Trump and the right and barely anything spoken about the left. I enjoy fair shitting on both. The shows have been Bye. This is the topics I'm covering. Bye. Start your own show. There was no evidence of anything in over a month, and then finally somehow the Supreme Court's like, well, it's kind of your duty, and they just voted to certify it. Took a month, qualify as a duty. Counties like Washoe, where Biden won by 4.5 points in 2020, will be crucial to determining the outcome in Nevada this year. And even the presidential election delays or refusals to certify results, will be crucial to determining the outcome in Nevada this year and even the presidential election. Delays and refusals to certify results would hold up statewide certification and vote tallies and potentially the results of the presidential election itself. Pro-Trump election deniers are working as local election officials in at least 16 pivotal counties across the 6 key battleground states. They include small rural outposts like Bay, Clinton, Isabella, Macomb, and Muskegon counties in Michigan, which have flipped between Democrats and Republicans in elections going back to 2008. The election denier officials there have flown under the radar. Rolling Stone and American Doom have found them by searching their social media profiles, primarily Facebook, to ascertain their views. Elsewhere, swing counties have already been the site of election denial tactics. In Berks County, Pennsylvania, which voted for Democrats in the 2018 midterms, but saw Republicans narrowly win in 2020 and 2022, recount demands from right-wing groups delayed certifications in 2022. In that same election, Berks County Commissioner Michael Riviera and Christian Leinbach voted to delay certifications over concerns about undated and other improperly prepared mail-in ballots. 16,000 ballots, most of them from Democratic voters, were discarded by county election boards in Pennsylvania. A 3-judge panel eventually backed the decision to throw out the undated ballots for November 2022's midterm election. Although in Pennsylvania, Northampton County Commissioner Scott Hugh refused to certify results of a local general election in 2023 after being encouraged to do so by the county GOP chair. Trump won Northampton County in 2016 but lost it in 2020. Hughes' refusal to certify results came amid a smattering of similar occurrences across the country in November and December of 2023. Republican election officials in Cobb County, Georgia, which has trended towards Democrats since Mitt Romney won there in 2012, refused to certify results of an election in November 2023. Cobb was joined that month in refusing certification by Spalding and DeKalb counties in Georgia, Lancaster County in Pennsylvania, Surrey County, North Carolina, and 4 counties in Colorado. Since then, the refusals have continued. Among the first of them in 2024 was Hancock's refusal to certify the results of Georgia's March presidential primary for reasons he hasn't even stated. Quote, this is the opposition to validating the process before certifying the election that your county board of election members in Georgia are currently facing. Hancock wrote in a Facebook page on May 23rd, sharing a link to guidance on preventing certification refusal from Protect Democracy, a left-leaning nonprofit. Hancock went on to falsely claim there are no guidelines to what is required to certify an election in Georgia. Protect Democracy says that's not true. And like many election experts and legal scholars, the group contends that Georgia state law stipulates certification is mandatory, ministerial duty, meaning that officials have no discretion to refuse to certify election results. In late April, Center...
I got a small dick, but wait till it get hard. She gonna be like, damn, shit, my God.
Thank you very much for that. In late April, Central and Luzerne counties in Pennsylvania held up certification on ongoing court battles waged by Republicans regarding mail-in ballots. Both are swing counties, and Luzerne is home to election deniers Harry Haas and Alyssa Fusuro, a county councilor and election board member, respectively. Haas has posted on Facebook page about election conspiracies, including writing in November 2020 that there are many arguments to suggest this election was stolen. Fusaro has refused to certify results twice, both times in 2022. In May, 2 months after Hancock's refusal to certify results in Georgia, Republican canvassers Bonnie Hakola and Leanne Oman refused to certify results in Delta County, Michigan. A week after that, Fulton County, Georgia, election board member Julie Adams refused to certify results on the May 21st primary. Adams is now suing with the help of lawyers from the American First Policy Institute, AFPI, a Trump-supporting think tank. Adams and AFPI have asked a judge to rule that Adams has discretion to delay or refuse certification on the grounds that fraud may have been committed in a given election, with no proof. Such a decision would go against decades of legal precedent, says Derek Mueller, a law professor at the University of Notre Dame who has written on the subject certification. I doubt any court will find that election officials can refuse to certify election results beyond the narrow reasons set forth in their own state laws. Still, local election officials continue to press the issue of certification. On June 24th, Adams again refused to certify the results, this time in a low turnout local runoff. Certification is seen by Republicans as one of the first legal steps to challenging the results of the elections, and has been since the days immediately following the 2020 election, when Trump White House consulted with fringe lawyers and conspiracists on ways to challenge the results of Trump's loss. At a White House meeting attended by some of those figures, including Sidney Powell, disgraced former Army General Mike Flynn, and Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, the issue of seizing voting machines to prove election fraud was floated. In a never-issued executive order that resulted from that meeting, the Trump White House proposed having the Department of Justice seize voting machines in strategic locations in order to prove that Democrats had used them to steal the election. As evidence of this fraud, the draft executive order cited the refusal to certify results in Coffee County, Georgia, where election conspiracists sat on the county election board. Coffey's mention in the document is telling. It signals that Republicans believe certification paves a legal path to challenging the results. And in the case of the draft executive order, more extreme actions like even seizing voting machines and instituting martial law. Terrifying. Since then, there have been at least 25 instances of certification refusals in 8 states, Rolling Stone and American Doom found. Georgia leads the way with 7 certification refusals since the 2020 election. Meanwhile, the Georgia State Election Board, which now includes 2 Republicans who American Doom found are election conspiracists, has begun crafting a rule that would allow for county election officials to refuse certification if a reasonable inquiry can be made into fraud claims. The rule stems from a request from Michael Heekin, Adams' Republican colleague on the Fulton County Election Board, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported. Challenges to certification are just one part of an anti-democracy strategy being enacted nationwide, says Ulmer of the state's United Democracy Center. Across the country, Republicans and state legislatures have passed 22 bills aimed at what they call election integrity, which in many cases increase penalties for screw-ups and take power away from election officials in favor of political appointees, like those on Georgia's state election boards. Right-wing groups are behind mass voter challenges in Georgia and elsewhere, sometimes filing off-the-book challenges to sympathetic Republicans on election boards with the help of apps created by election conspiracists. Also in Georgia, state lawmakers have introduced bills that would allow for Republican takeovers of election boards. So they're making these apps to anonymously report voter fraud with little to no evidence. So, like, all I have to do is log into that. Let's say Trump's losing. I log into the app, right? I log into the app, and I say, I think I saw somebody drop off 150 ballots in a drop box twice. And boom, with that app, they're like, well, somebody anonymously said they saw Dropbox fraud, so now we're not going to certify. That's literally what they're planning to do. In Arkansas, state officials have passed a rule that limits the ability to register voters online after a left-wing group was successful in registering hundreds of Arkansans, many of them in rural black communities. In Arizona, Trump-aligned legal groups have filed at least 8 lawsuits aimed at voter suppression, including one that argues that county election officials should be able to refuse certification. In 2020, there were 85 lawsuits filed over the election. Right now, there are more than 150 lawsuits currently in court. About half of them are filed by vote suppressors or election deniers, says Elias, the Democratic election lawyer. If I would have proposed in 2020 the idea that there was a species of people like this who are trying to make it harder to vote and not certify elections, you wouldn't have believed me. That's the whole story from Rolling Stone. Now, this comes from a guy that, again, runs This American Doom. He has even a more in-depth with some of their Facebook posts here, where him and Rolling Stone teamed up. And he has even some of their Facebook posts. I'm beating your ass for printing lies. I'm also having you fired, fined, and blacklisted. No safe space. You will learn not to lie, and you will be cured of your libtardation. Hacked located tracked. No one anywhere can or will help or save you. Blocking makes it worse. Reporting does nothing. No safe space, sniveling soy boy. Damn. Seems like they're coming at him. But you can. It's American-Doom.com. And he did. The reason I found out about him is because he did an interview. It's this one right here, again with Brian Taylor Cohen.
Rolling Stone today, they profile 70 different election officials who have been put into position in the swing states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, who are election denialists, committed election denialists. Officials that have been put in place in all of those swing states to make sure that election results, no matter what they are, do not get certified in those states this year. Quote, at least 22 of these election officials have already refused or delayed certification processes in recent elections. According to Democratic election lawyer Mark Elias, quote, I think we are going to see mass refusals to certify the election in November. Quote, Republicans are counting on not just that they can disrupt the election in big counties, they're counting on the fact that if they don't...
I don't know how you think Rolling Stone is somehow manipulating this. It's people that are on election boards and the posts they make on Facebook and literally them voting to not certify things.
Certify.
I don't think you can manipulate that in some way.
Several small counties, you can't certify statewide results.
By now, you've all seen the Rolling Stone article, the one that inspired that chilling clip from Rachel Maddow titled, These Swing State Election Officials Are Pro-Trump Election Deniers. We've got the author of that piece with us today, Justin Glaw. Justin, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
So you wrote that very sobering article outlining the fact...
This guy doesn't work for Rolling Stone. This guy does this work on his own, freelance, and got it published in Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone's who went to publish it.
That at least 70 pro-Trump election conspiracy theorists are right now working as county election officials, people who've doubted the election results in the past, with some of them outright having already refused to certify elections. To what extent does it feel like their refusal to certify anything other than a Trump win, a Republican win in November, is inevitable?
I mean, I think that's the game plan. I don't think that they would say it that way. I don't think that they would. And in fact, some of these people that I've talked to have said, oh, well, no, we don't plan to, refuse to certify. But, I think that we have clues to that based off of what's already happened in places like Washoe County, Nevada, and Fulton County, Georgia, where under pressure in Washoe County from election deniers, even a moderate Republican.
Washoe County is the one that I told you. They had 2 recounts, privately funded. Both recounts said exactly the same thing, except the guy lost by 1 extra vote. And still they refused to do it until the Supreme Court was ready to step in and make them.
Briefly said, no, I'm not going to certify these results, right, based off of really questionable fraud claims. So, yeah, I mean, I think that is a very real possibility that anything that is not a obvious Trump win, they're going to say, well.
And that gives them the momentum. Even if it goes to court and they're like, there's no fucking fraud here, like every other case that went to fucking court, thrown out or no evidence or no standing. Even if it goes to court, that gives them that window to rally behind. And we saw it last year. All it takes is this little bit of doubt that Trump's puts out there. And Giuliani posts a video, and Sidney Powell says she's got hammer and scorecard in the Kraken, and boom, it's a whole full-fledged. They're ready to kill for it.
We can't certify these results because there was all this fraud, right?
Is there a sense among these people that it doesn't even matter what happens with the actual votes because these administration officials themselves serve as a kind of stopgap for the Republicans to ultimately just get what they want anyway?
Right. I think there is no situation in which these officials in particular would accept election results unless every single person who's in charge of counting every vote, every person involved in every election system in the country is a full-throated, Trump-supporting person who believes that Joe Biden stole the 2020 election. Only then, really, would most of these people say, okay, you know what? Yes, Trump lost, or, somebody else won. But
I even doubt that. They threw some of their own people under the bus. In 2020, they were throwing random people under the bus, then found out that they were huge Trump supporters.
Without having all of that in place, they're not going to buy it at all.
Do you think that they actually believe there's fraud, or is this just, that they recognize that refusing to certify is the avenue that they'll inevitably have to take because winning at any cost is the whole ballgame here?
I think that these people in particular, because let's be clear here about who these people are. These
just resubscribed for 11 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Are local county election officials. This is a part-time job. Some of these people, they may not even be getting.
It was 81.2 to 74.2.
Being paid for all I know, but if they are getting paid, it's a very small amount of money. These are appointed positions mostly, so these are not elected officials. So yes, this is always the big question with election denialism. Do people actually believe this, or is this a politically expedient thing for them to do to rise in the ranks? And for people in Congress, I think we know the answer to that. Many of them probably don't believe it, but they know that it's going to get clicks, that it's going to get hits, that it's going to get them reelected. But for these people, these are the true believers. They don't really they're not making money off of this, really. They are not, getting a state Senate seat or something like that. Some of them are. But for the most part, these are people who are, if you've ever been to a local election board meeting, these are the same people who are on your
These are the mamas that show up at school boards and are like, why is there litter boxes in the school? I heard it from Peggy Ann, and she found it on a Facebook, and there was no litter boxes ever anywhere.
School board, or your local whatever the board is that deals with county.
Trump supported Kamala. He fucking wrote a check to her reelection campaign.
And stuff like that. So like I said, I think these are the true believers. These are the foot soldiers.
Well, presumably these people do have access to every minutia of data, which should make them better informed than your average conspiracy theorist. So does the fact that they have that data at their disposal count for nothing, that they would still just fall for these blatant?
No, even if they have the data, they'll say it was changing the machines. If it's changing, if they had the machines to look at, then a satellite flipped it. If they check out all the satellites, then a hacker got in there. If a hacker didn't get in there, then it was pre-set up before the election even started.
Conspiracy theories?
They just keep making excuses, right? We just watched 9 fucking Republicans say, well, we're going to vote for the bill, had everything we wanted, we tried to do it, but Trump said no, and they're like, they had aid to Ukraine in it! Yeah, but we just watched them say why they didn't vote for it. They didn't say anything about Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, in some instances, I talked to one of these people in Arkansas, which I did a lot of research on these folks in Arkansas and Mississippi that was not included in the story. But this guy was interesting because, like, he was like, oh, 2020 stolen from Trump. I became an election official to fix the system. And he's one of these guys who kind of then got in there and was like, oh, actually, you know, there's not really any major fraud that's happening, right? But it came with a caveat, right? He said, I know there's not fraud in whatever county he was in Arkansas that I can't remember the name of, but I can't say the same for all these Democrat cities in these Democrat states because those are the places that Democrats run, and so they're
right. So even though he believed there was fraud in his state, he gets in there and finds out, or in his county, he gets in there and finds out that there's little to no fraud in almost all of the election. But then he's like, well, just because I found out that I was wrong about that doesn't mean that up there in Michigan
there could be widespread cheating.
I hear they even let the black people vote up there.
Right? So that's one example. But as far as a lot of the other people who have access to this minutia of information that you're talking about and still believe this stuff, I have no explanation for it other than that a lot of these people are on the older side and that there's a lot of very technical information and data that's involved here.
We saw this with 2020. We saw this with 2020, not only with tech, right? Not only with tech, but with other things, right? So, like, you guys know what Benford's Law is, right? Benford's Law is that there should be an equal distribution of numbers, right? There should be a steady, there should be a certain distribution of numbers when you have sets of numbers that you're getting. The problem is, no one told the MAGA retards that that's only when it crosses several different orders of magnitude. So, like, some of your number sets have to be in the millions, some of them have to be in the 10,000, some of them have to be in the fucking 10 millions. It doesn't if they're all sets that are in the same order of magnitude, so they're all in the thousands or 10,000s or 100,000s, you're not going to get the same distribution. Benford's Law doesn't work. It's made for a base 10 system where you spread it out over different orders of magnitude. And they convinced you that Benford's Law proves that Trump was cheated in Michigan or Wisconsin, wherever the fuck it was at, right? They also did that with tech. They're like, well, if I run this right here and look at this, and they convinced you over stupid shit. Like, they told you that more people voted than were registered in a state and left out all the data of people who had registered same day and for the last month because the state voter rolls hadn't been updated. Tons of people go in same day registration states. Tons of people register for same day. They think, I'm not going to vote. It's kind of easy. I'll just go down there. Since it's easy, I'll go vote. Or in the months leading up to an election. So if you don't have that fucking data, how the fuck could you know that more people voted than were registered?
That also involves a lot of sort of computer technology. And I think that it's difficult to understand even for people who are very in the know about this stuff. So I think it's just almost like sort of an ignorance thing.
He's got to, right? We always, I say you have to convince to win to get to the White House, especially if there's a shitty turnout, maybe you can win on your party. But if there's a normal turnout, you have to get the swing voters, right? And if Trump can't pull the swing voters, if someone else is pulling the swing voters, then he and his Republican friends have to get less people to vote. That's the only way they can offset it. Every time there's some type of law, bill, suggestion that comes up to where more Americans, not illegals, or not fucking border invasion, not Canadians or Polish people, more Americans would be able to legally vote, they shut it the fuck down. They don't want anybody else voting. Trump, his entire life, has voted mail-in absentee, and he doesn't want anybody, he only wants same-day voting with paper ballots. But that's not how you voted your entire life, right? That's kind of inconvenient for a lot of people. Doesn't matter.
To a certain extent.
for the election official in Arkansas, for example, who said, okay, well, it looks okay here, but what about all those corrupt Democrat cities? For those people, does what they do in their little, in their...
I did get a new tattoo. I can't really show it to you guys because it's under like tegaderm, so it just all kind of looks black and weird. I posted on Patreon when I can, I think it's 5 days or something. I'm supposed to keep the tegaderm on. When I can get it out of the wrap and stuff, I'll show everybody. But it's on Patreon, like the pictures they took right after they did it. It's like a memorial for something to remind me of my mom and dad, even though they weren't big tattoo people. Actually, I was telling the mods that my dad actually took me and Mariah to the tattoo shop to get my first tattoo, her first tattoo, and they were matching ones. Mine says always, hers says forever. And the whole time there, he tried to talk us out of it. But I kind of think that's funny, too. It's a hummingbird. My mom's favorite bird was a hummingbird, and she was like light and outside the box and love colors, so that portion of it's colored. And then my dad was like more mechanical and more like straight and strict. So there's a portion of it that's like a mechanical kind of hard edges, black and white. No, I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Office in Arkansas, does that feel like a way to push back against what they perceive as clear, certain corruption happening in those Democrat cities, and so they feel an obligation to compensate for them?
Right. Yeah. So it's a mindset of, there may be cheating elsewhere. These people may be cheating in Atlanta and Detroit and places like that, but they're not going to cheat here in Lee County, Mississippi or whatever. And that's because we are in charge here and we are for election integrity. When in reality, I mean, as you well know, like the rules and the systems in place are really not very different across states in terms of things that can catch something like widespread voter fraud. You know what I'm saying? Like those systems and those rules, you're going to catch, if somebody actually, used a mule to input 1,000 fake ballots, whether it's in Lee County, Mississippi or Detroit, Michigan.
Those get caught. We saw them get caught. There's a lady that was doing this at nursing homes. There was somebody trying to do it for Trump, and she claimed she was offsetting the Democrats because she knew they were going to do it too. Those people get caught. Unless you believe Steven Crowder, because he just makes up shit. Literally, when I was watching Steven Crowder's show of like where they were going to mail-in ballot addresses, like he was intentionally going to the wrong addresses and saying, this one's an underpass. This one, but he would be like on, let's say he was like on Martin Luther King Boulevard. 123 Martin Luther King Boulevard. He would be on Martin Luther King Boulevard Southwest Extension. And the address was like just for regular Martin Luther King Boulevard. And he'd be like, look, this is just a bridge. I wonder who voted from this bridge. If they have this complex machine set up to fake all these votes, you don't think they could pick houses?
They're probably going to get caught.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm certain that the question you got more than anything as the result of this is folks reaching out to you and asking what the legal recourse is. So what do you say to those people?
So the legal recourse for refusing or denying or delaying certification of election results is essentially lawsuits, but also there have been instances in Arizona, for instance, in Cochise County, there were 2 officials who refused to certify results. They have been charged criminally for sort of like dereliction of duty type stuff. In other places, Democrat groups and the party has filed lawsuits against officials who have refused to do that. In Washoe County recently, like I was talking about that moderate official who reversed on a previous decision to certify and said, actually, there's too many potential problems here. I'm actually not going to certify my own election win, is what she said earlier in July. In that instance, the county attorney and the Secretary of State came and they kind of told them like, hey guys, this is your duty to do this. Like, this is not really up to your discretion to certify. You have a legal obligation to certify these results. And oh, wouldn't you know that she again changed.
Right. That's where the Supreme Court had to step in, or was going to have to step in and say it's not like a choice. Like, unless there's verifiable proof of something crazy happened. If we're just going on, oh, well, somebody may have seen a thumb drive one time, but you've recounted the ballots, right? The paper printouts. You've recounted, and they're all valid twice. It's not really a choice now. You have to certify it.
Changed her mind, along with another Republican on that county commission, and said, okay, we'll certify these results. But however, there was one Republican still that refused to certify. So those are basically the recourses that are available at this point.
Okay. And just for those.
Trump at one time told people to do that. He said, mail in if you're going to vote mail it in, and then show up and vote again in person. They'll catch it. They'll catch it, don't worry. And then he went to don't use mail-in voting under no circumstances. That's how the Democrats are going to use it, and they're going to cheat.
Watching right now, I will be speaking to Mark Elias in an episode of Democracy Watch about exactly this. And I know that Justin, you spoke with him for the article as well. So for people watching, please make sure to subscribe so that you can be notified when we do have that interview. Justin, you gleaned a lot of these people's political beliefs just by kind of scouring their Facebook pages. Did it scare you to see
Facebook pages of older Trump supporters, just Trump supporters? Whenever I get a weird comment out of the Wade comment or something like that, we usually check that. Sometimes I even show them on here. They're scary, dude. And I know a lot of people would be like, I just shared that. But some of them's like fucking calling for the death of people. Just because Trump said they don't support him and he don't like them or whatever. Like, literally calling for the death of people. And I'm sure they'll be like, well, that's just a page I like that I share. But Facebook's pages are scary as fuck, dude.
How susceptible.
And then they're like, Biden said the word Biden said the word bullseye.
People in positions of power actually are to disinformation?
Yes. I mean, these Facebook pages, some of them are quite something.
I'm sure they're just a treat.
Yeah, and look, it's not just like, some of these people, like, there was a handful, there was only a couple of posts, right? But like, that's enough for me to know that, like, they believe in this stuff, Yeah. But for other people.
So some people only had a handful of posts about, 2020 was stolen, Trump, they're cheating. The other people, what?
Well, I mean, it was just prolific, and not just about election fraud, but like every right-wing culture war issues that you can think of, anti-vaccine stuff, anti-LGBTQ stuff, the groomers, like just everything that you can possibly imagine. And I'm not talking about like, oh, they made like 4 posts in a year. I'm talking like all day, every day. And like, if that's what it looks like for me on the
all day, every day. These are these Telegram grannies, right? They post all day, every day. Different things they pick up. They just repost shit because their guy posted. Don't even read it half the time.
Public-facing side of what their Facebook looks like. I can only imagine what it looks like inside their own heads as they're consuming this massive volume of misinformation and culture war outrage stuff. And in some cases, like it became concerning to me because obviously we know that misinformation like this really, really gets some people fired up. And, there's trying to mess around with elections, and then there is the possibility of political violence. And
yes, obviously. Messing around with elections is bad enough. Like, again, when did you ever hear, besides like Bush and Florida and the hanging chads, before Trump, when did you ever hear about like, well, I saw a Mexican hanging around the polling place, so we're not certified? Like, when did you, it wasn't a political issue then, right? You counted the votes. You went through them. If it was close enough, somebody funded a recount. You recounted them. They went on about their fucking lives. Shit's wild. Anyways, you want to see the rest of that? That's over on Brian Tyler Cohen's channel. And then you can find the website at American-Doom.com, where he catalogs not just this, but a bunch of stuff having to do with these people. If you go back to the homepage, he's got a bunch of, this is Substack. So he's got all his stories. No way Trump can lose without fraud, election officials. She's done callous and shocking police shooting claims. So a bunch of stuff that's got going on that are right and left topic and stuff he covers. He's got a podcast. He's got his Substack articles he writes. You can go check him out. American-Doom.com. I'll share the link. Next, we're going to get demonetized. So if you want to contribute to the stream, I would greatly appreciate it because we're about to get demonetized over Ryan Upchurch. Now, I have not watched this full video, but just the intro was enough to like make me say, yep, that's about what I expected from this crackhead son of a bitch. Yeah, support the stream at coldbeer.fun because we're not making any money off this one. Here we go. It says, the title is America, spelled with a K, Ameriika, America, 80% dumb, 20% smart. America, spelled with a K, 80%, and then colon, 80% dumb, 20% smart. And listen to, imagine a guy who makes music for people, who needs an audience, who lives off his audience, makes all his money off his audience, being this fucking divisive, as big as he is. He's a musician, right? He's not a political correspondent. Listen to this opening. Here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna start this video by saying if you like Kamala Harris, I do not want you here. I don't want you to be a follower of mine. Okay, I'm gonna start this video by saying if you like Kamala Harris, I do not want you here. I don't want you to be a follower of mine. If you like Joe Biden, I don't want you here. You don't belong here. I don't want you to be a follower of mine.
All right, so if you like Kamala Harris, I don't want you here. I don't want you to be a follower of mine. Leave. If you like Joe Biden, I don't want you here. I don't want you to be a follower of mine. What else? If you're a fucking swing voter, dude, he says if you're a fence sitter, if you're undecided, I don't fucking want you here. That's his next statement.
If you're a fence sitter and you pander to both sides because you're scared you're going to lose popularity or whatever it is, get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here, and I don't want you to be a follower of mine. If you're going to look at yourself.
What he says next, I think, is a problem. You shouldn't take political opinions from fucking musicians or celebrities, for that matter, right? He says in a second, like, if you have an audience at all, they should know exactly who you vote for, what type of topics you entertain, and the people who are welcome and not welcome in your community. I think that's what's wrong with, like, politics used to be kind of like this personal thing, and you might have had the news you watched or whatever, but now we got to worry about what our fucking redneck rap musician thinks about us.
As a public speaker and a quote-unquote famous person, I fucking hate that fucking word, famous. Then the people that watch you need to know where you stand, they need to know what you think, and they need to know what kind of people you accept in your community when you are talking about these subjects, about shit that's going on all over.
What kind of people you accept in your... They need to know who you support, where you stand, and what kind of people you accept in your community. So Ryan doesn't accept anybody except Trump supporters in his community. And this video, Ryan's dumb, so this video is going to get a ton of views because it's controversial. Not because people, well, it might be flooded by Trump supporters, but not because people overwhelmingly support it. And he's going to think, well, this is my bread and butter. Next time I'm going to tell them if they don't support Donald Trump, they need to start a shotgun. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just dumb like that.
That's what community is. If you don't like that, I don't give a fuck. If that hurts your feelings, tough shit. Go somewhere your feelings don't get hurt, I guess. Now, let's start this video.
It don't hurt my feelings, none. I think the problem is all of your rhetoric. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I think you sound like a fucking idiot, but whatever. It's underperforming. You guys can't see this. Can I pull this over here? So it is underperforming. So it's been published for 21 hours. It has 53,000 views in 21 hours. That's way better than me, but I'm just saying on his average, right? In 21 hours, it has 53,441 views. His channel average is about 65,000. So it's underperforming by about 12,000 views over a 21-hour period.
Okay, so our first topic, COVID-19. COVID-19 was horseshit. COVID-19 is not COVID-19. COVID-19 is just strong bronchitis. That's it. If anything, it was a fucking operation on your brain, which is why now they're doing studies on what it done to people, and it made people more gullible.
Mask off, motherfucker. Mask off. COVID-19's not real. I should know I can die without my inhaler. Mask off, motherfucker. He's going to go over all of it.
Just strong bronchitis. That's it. If anything, it was a fucking operation on your brain, which is why now they're doing studies on what it done to people, and it made people more gullible, it made people unaware of what's going on, and it made you more susceptible to shit on the screen, on the vids that you were watching while you were fucking quarantining in your room for months and months and months and months and months, driving yourself crazy, rewiring your brain. That's what that was. In other words, it made you dumber no matter how smart you were. You got a little bit dumber. Why do you think during COVID we had a record-breaking low for bronchitis? Because
Why do you think Trump let it happen on his watch? It wasn't that dirty Kenyan Obama, and it wasn't Sleepy Joe. Trump let it happen on his watch and made the vaccine for it. Operation Warp Speed, bruh.
It was being named something else. And all the symptoms for COVID were ones of pneumonia. How the fuck you get pneumonia? Oh, that's right. You just stay having bronchitis until it turns into pneumonia. Now, how do you get a bunch of people to fucking turn their bronchitis into pneumonia? Well, you tell them that the waiting list is real long at the hospital, and you're just gonna have to wait because they're having to figure stuff out. So you sit around, and your bronchitis gets worse. Then as it gets worse, the mucus that you have in your throat that's being made by you being fucking sick from bronchitis gets thicker. Then as the mucus that's in your throat and in your lungs starts to get thicker, it blocks these things called bronchial tubes, which is what gives you your oxygen in your lungs, and you can't breathe. And you start to get delirious. Then to even make it worse, they say, no, go stay inside. You must stay inside. It's dangerous out there. Don't get any sunlight. Don't be exposed to any bacteria or fucking clean, fresh air.
I don't think anybody told anybody not to go outside, not to get sunlight. And pneumonia and bronchitis are two different illnesses. It's actually rare that bronchitis leads to pneumonia. It says it's more likely to happen with people with weakened immune systems as an infection spreads from your airways to the lungs, air sacs. Pneumonia would be down in the lungs, air sacs. Bronchitis is in your bronchial tubes. But whatever. Yeah, they told us to go outside. They told us to get vitamin D. They even were talking about how sun's like a natural disinfectant, right? No one told you to stay out of the sun, Ryan.
Stay inside your house. Oh, by the way, while you're inside your house, disinfect everything so there's no bacteria for you to inhale to make antibodies to make it better. If you're old, that can kill you.
Don't use disinfectant, guys.
Young, it could fucking kill you. It really don't matter the age. It's just neglecting.
I had bronchitis that turned into pneumonia because we were in a field and they wouldn't let me go on sick call for the military. Yeah, it says it's rare. Weakened immune systems, such as babies, older adults, or those with other health conditions. Any treatment of bronchitis obviously will help prevent it from ever turning into pneumonia. But to say that, like, what is bronchitis? What is pneumonia? It's just bronchitis is untreated. They're two different illnesses, right?
The common sense is what kills people with COVID. Think about it. Do you really think a mask is going to block you from sucking in the air around the mask? The mask doesn't. Kills people with COVID. Think about it. Do you really think a mask is going to block you from sucking in the air around the mask? The mask doesn't have an oxygen machine on it, so where are you getting the fucking oxygen?
Does Ryan think that viruses are inside oxygen molecules? Exactly. Imagine going into surgery, and it's one of those where you're just kind of halfway out of it, or they don't put you completely under. And the doctor comes in, he's in his street clothes, he doesn't scrub up, he doesn't put on a hairnet, he doesn't put on a mask, he doesn't put on gloves. The tools are just laying on a tray, and they're already covered in blood, been used before, and they're like, we don't use disinfectant, we don't scrub up, we don't wear masks, we don't do anything. We're here to get the germs in your body so you can have antibodies, and just start slashing shit.
That's right, from the other side of the mask. So why are you even wearing it in the first place? It doesn't make any sense to wear a mask. Besides the fact.
Here's what Ryan's saying. Do you really think a gnat will catch fish? Do you think a gnat will catch fish with all the water coming into the net? Really? You think a gnat will catch fish? Where's the water coming from? Fish live in water. If the water can go right through the net, how's the net going to catch any fish? I don't know, Ryan. That's a very good point.
In fact, you're breathing in bacteria that you're spitting out again, or you're getting more carbon than you are oxygen. You are
carbon? You're getting more carbon than you are oxygen. What are you, making a diamond in your lungs? That's bronchitis diamonesis. Idiots.
You're sacrificing oxygen, and you're sacrificing getting fresh air. The mask doesn't do anything for you. It just makes you look fucking stupid. And if not, give me one side effect that is not exactly the same as prolonged, non-taken care of bronchitis or pneumonia. You're not gonna fucking find one. What do you think the ventilators?
So the problem with COVID, it was a virus, right? It did its thing. The problem with COVID was how easily transmissible it was, right? We didn't have defenses. It was a brand new thing. Some people got like, I had asymptomatic COVID, right? I test positive for the antibody. I don't know if I still do. I test positive for the antibodies, but never really felt, any of those effects. But I got a pretty strong immune system. The problem was we were spreading it. And there's a lot of people who don't have real strong immune systems. And it was spreading so quickly.
Were for. The ventilators are to give you other oxygen from elsewhere besides the bronchial tubes that are covered up by fucking pounds of fucking mucus. And I know, yeah, but Church, this is the first time they ever had to have this many ventilators. So many ventilators, we ran out of ventilators. Yeah, because it's not every year that everyone's like, fuck it, I'm staying home and taping up my windows with my pneumonia.
Okay, so staying home gave you bronchitis. Where'd the bronchitis come from? The fish! I'm sorry. The masks!
So yeah, you do need more of them then. Because everybody wasn't using their common sense. And also I
didn't really wear a mask during COVID, but I didn't go near anybody, right? Like, even when I went to the store or whatever, I stayed the fuck away from people. I'm already fucking paranoid and shit, try to stay away from people, but I stayed way the fuck away from people.
A few more things that would have happened that no one really thinks about if this operation called COVID would have went through all the way and everyone would have fucking believed it. One, we'd have had a medicine shortage of 3 main medicines that fix stuff that involve you and your oxygen. Albuterol, prednisone, and azithromycin. Now,
he forgot the word, so he had to pause it.
Operation called COVID would have went through all the way and everyone would have fucking believed it. One, we'd have had a medicine shortage of 3 main medicines that fix stuff that involve you and your oxygen. Albuterol, prednisone, and azithromycin.
Okay.
Now, prednisone is the main one that rids the mucus off your bronchial tubes. But here's the thing. If you are extra sick with extra mutated pneumonia or bronchitis, you got to take extra prednisone.
Extra mutated. So now it's a mutated bronchitis.
Now, all these people were going to the hospitals, right? There's one thing that prednisone does that is not good. It lowers your immune system. If you're in the doctors taking a bunch of prednisone and getting rid...
Azithromycin is an antibiotic, right? Mycin, it has to be. Prednisone is a corticosteroid. Is albuterol too? No, it's a bronchial dilator. Corticosteroid, bronchial dilator, and an antibiotic.
Rid of your sickness and getting your oxygen back. The more oxygen you have, the more air from the hospital you're breathing in, the more vulnerable you are to getting another fucking sickness.
Okay.
It's set up to fuck everything up. I thought everybody would know it was a setup when they were trading free donuts for COVID shots at the Shell in Atlanta. Like, what the fuck? I legit seen a lady wearing 3 masks, a bandana, and a welding helmet. They pretty much tricked her into suffocating her damn self. It's a...
Well, yeah, some people in New York City right now are wearing microwaves on their head. Like, that doesn't mean anything. They're just fucking crazy people.
Covert operation, if you ask me, by definition. A covert operation is, in other words, an undercover operation. What did we see during COVID? We seen a bunch of people with masks on their face attacking and getting mad at people who did not have a mask on their face. Right. In undercover operations, people don't want their face to be seen, so they wear masks. So in that case, the people who weren't abiding by this fucked up stupid...
Well, see, here's what I think about the mask thing. Were there people that lashed out at other people for not wearing masks? Sure. Some of them had legitimate reasons, like somebody breathed on them. But the people that just randomly picked somebody and ran up to them, we see those crazy videos anyways, right? Random people run up to people and say something. There's crazy people on the street. We get it. Mask was the latest topic, but if it wouldn't have been, they'd have been like, are you following me? You took pictures of my house.
I'm a dumbass law was getting attacked by people in masks, so the people running the I'm a fucking idiot dumbass law didn't have to deal with it because they're like, well, they were in masks, sorry. Now look at COVID. What happened during COVID? They made everyone cooperate through videos on the internet.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's not all hidden in the language, bro.
Vid. Now, before moving on to the next topic, I'm going to tell you a piece of information that involves your bronchial tubes and your breathing. If you do have asthma and you ain't got an inhaler, eat an apple or orange. Second off, I'm going to show you a breathing technique that helps unblock your bronchial tubes without any medicine.
Ryan has you can hear him wheezing in a lot of his videos. Ryan has a really, 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 really bad asthma.
And no, it's not breathing in a paper bag. I've seen a lot of people doing that. You ain't doing nothing but slowing your fucking heart rate down. You're going to pass out breathing in a paper bag for fucking 2 hours. What you need to do is, you need to get a piece of paper. And I don't care, go to the doctor. Ask somebody that knows about not being able to breathe. They'll tell you the same damn thing. Get you a piece of paper that's easily blown out of your hand. Like that. Take the piece of paper, put it on your hand like this. Take a deep breath. And breathe so slow, it don't move the paper.
Yeah, this is just called, I think it's called sustained pressure breathing. You guys remember the thing that used to look like a cup with a straw that went in the bottom, and you would blow it and you would try to hold the ball in between like 30 and 40, right? Hold the ball in between like 30 or 40 and 50 or whatever the CFM was, and you'd hold it, and after you had like, if you were in the hospital for like pneumonia or something like that, something to do with your lungs, you're not trying to do a quick short burst of air. You're trying to breathe out as long as you can and sustain that amount, basically.
When you're done, take another deep breath, do the same thing again. After you do it 3 times, you'll cough up a bunch of shit, but your ass won't be choking no more.
Got it. How I mentally changed after COVID, being someone who knew it wasn't dangerous and someone who noticed it was changing society for the worse. For the worse. For the what, chat? For the worse.
So during COVID, I wore a mask 1 fucking time, and I raised hell because of it. And it was at an airport, the worst place where you don't want people wearing a fucking mask. I had even witnessed someone with the mask on going through security, the security asking them to pull their mask off, and them bitching at the security and scaring the security so bad to the point where he thought he was going to lose his fucking job, he let her not take the mask off. That is a problem. Could you imagine how many terrorists got through and got on fucking airplanes and whatnot during that time? Not to do anything with the airplane, but to go elsewhere.
His manager, so his mom's kind of been there. His B-Loose is kind of like his manager, but B-Loose is like a crackhead that was fucking his mom, so very, very, very poor management.
Swear, you don't have an ID with a mask on. Definitely not. So what was that guy going to do? Oh, yep, matching forehead. Wrong. Yeah, you're good. Now, going back to the people who have done an analysis on people's psychology after COVID, people who believed in it, and find out that, really, in a sense, they got dumber. He said, I'd really like to know what it done to people who didn't believe in it the entire time. He said, but I haven't come in contact with any of those people or enough people to do an assessment. So I want to say this. Being somebody who thought it was bullshit from the jump, being somebody who didn't stay in my house or quarantine and all this other shit.
He's cited a lot of sources. There's this guy who did they did a study about people who really believed in COVID, that it was real, and they got dumber. Sounds scientific.
I noticed about myself.
Look at you, Mr. Big Shot.
Was I got less violent. I got less angry. I started acquiring more hobbies, like painting, metal detecting.
Yeah, because nothing else was going on, retard. Everybody did that. Like, a lot of people went to the internet. A lot of people got more hobbies. A lot of people found more time with their family and friends. Like, everybody did that.
During COVID.
Yeah, look at those fucking pupils, bro. They kind of dilate a little bit when he looks back at the light. Look how big those fucking pupils are. Looks like a goddamn 8-ball. Dude, your fucking eyeballs have bronchitis, bro. God damn.
During COVID, the majority of my town really didn't wear masks. They all kind of thought it was bullshit. So I didn't really get to see all these crazy motherfuckers wearing 10 masks and fucking welding helmets unless I went elsewhere outside of Tennessee. Now, this part I don't really understand, but my asthma had damn near went away. And which was weird because that's what they were saying. They kept saying on TV, they were like, this affects people who have asthma the most. Cap. Fucking lie. That's a lie. No, it didn't. I never wore a mask.
You just didn't catch it. You should be thanking other people for wearing masks. Or for disinfecting handrails or whatever you might touch.
I dipped, so my fucking fingers were inside my mouth all the fucking time. Putting
8 balls, why they look that way.
And I was out and about riding Can-Ams, jet skis, touching gas pumps, talking to people. Never once got COVID. Speaking on oxygen intake, you'll notice that people who have bad oxygen intake tend to have really rosy.
Clayton Knight just resubscribed for 13 months.
Thank you for the resubscription, Clayton Knight. A little over a year. I appreciate it.
Cheeks. If you look at my old videos, my cheeks were super fucking red all the time. Damn near as red as a fucking record button. Look at it now. It's more washed away and the same color as the rest of my fucking face. Another way I changed after COVID, or during COVID to after COVID, was I liked history more and I liked outside more.
Okay, so COVID made him like history more and outside more. So you're telling me you picked up hobbies? Hell, I started listening to audiobooks instead of podcasts. I mean, I still listen to podcasts a lot, but it's just a hobby I picked up. I got some of you guys hooked on audiobooks from the Audible app where they sponsored us or whatever.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget. They say that COVID on the other side made people's memory fucking shot. Me, I can remember everything during COVID. I will never forget this day.
Me, I'm a superhero. I don't believe in COVID, so I can remember more. What?
I loaded up my jet ski with my buddies. It was a hot pink, turquoise green, and black Sea-Doo. We went on the river. There was no one on the river. Not even the TWRA. Their boat was put up. There was no one out there. Middle of the day, we go out riding, and we're riding down the river, and we hit this tributary. And as we're riding down it, I'd noticed I had never been out on the river.
He's basically saying that COVID, if you believed in COVID, it changed your brain, but he didn't believe in it. So he's smarter, more brilliant. He's got better skin. He can remember everything that you can't because he didn't believe in COVID. He didn't believe it was real.
The water this still. I was riding and I remember looking, I was like, oh my God, bro, it's like a mirror is in front of me. I was like, this is fucking great. Like, this is beautiful, right? So I stopped and I'm just sitting there floating or whatever. And I'm looking up at this rock wall and I was like, dude, it looks like there's some markings up there, right? And it looks like this is where people may have like made fucking holes back in the day to kind of climb up like a ladder. And then there's bigger holes, like caves, obviously. There's caves that they must have climbed in or whatever. I've never noticed that living.
What the fuck is going on with his hairline? Hold on. What is that in the middle, bro? What in the fucking Eddie Munster is this? What the fuck is that, dude? It's not an artifact. I was watching it for a minute. It looks like shit. It's been there the whole video? What the fuck? Anyways.
The river and we hit this tributary. And as we're riding down it, I'd noticed I had never been out on the river with the water this still. I was riding and I remember looking, I was like, oh my God, bro, it's like a mirror is in front of me. I was like, this is fucking great. Like, this is beautiful, right? So I stopped and I'm just sitting there floating.
He was able to admire the river more because he didn't believe in COVID.
Whatever. And I'm looking up at this rock wall and I was like, dude, it looks like there's some markings up there, right? And it looks like this is where people may have like made fucking holes back in the day to kind of climb up like a ladder. And then there's bigger holes, like caves, obviously. There's caves that they must have climbed in or whatever. I've never noticed that living around here the 30 years I've lived here. The 20 years I've been going on the river here, I never noticed that.
Oh my goodness. Not believing in COVID made him find unexplored caves.
During that time, what did they find out? They find out the most ancient caves in North America are on the river.
It's not hair at all. I mean, it could be a cut. He could have been bleeding from there because he's all methed out and picking at his face. It's not hair. It doesn't move. It's something that was liquid and dried now.
Climbed in or whatever. I've never noticed that living around here the 30 years I've lived here. The 20 years I've been going on the river here, I never noticed that. And during that time, what did they find out? They find out the most ancient caves in North America are on the river that I live on. So what does that tell you?
Oh my God. The most ancient caves in North America on the river he lives on. Someone misrepresented a story they read.
Archaeologists and a guy named Upchurch on the river on his jet ski at that moment are thinking the exact same, which is why they find.
What? He's mind melding? He's mind melding with an archaeologist?
They're becoming more in tune with nature and noticing things in nature that are beautiful, and then finding other things that are like, holy shit, this is crazy. So they're on the same wavelength. I mean, otherwise, why didn't they find it forever ago? They've been looking around here for Indian artifacts for fucking a long ass time.
Oh my God! So you're saying that why hasn't everything already been found always? That's wild. Look how long we've been here. Why haven't they found everything already?
And you just now find this big ass cave with the most ancient writings in North America ever from 6,000 years ago. So you got to ask yourself, if they've been looking, and by the way, this is in a spot they've looked thousands of fucking times. You got to ask yourself, why are they just now finding that? Because COVID did something. It made X amount of people dumber and less aware, and it made X amount of people smarter and more aware.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So it made some people smarter than ever before. WJHL, America's oldest cave art discovered in Tennessee dates back 6,000 years. This was written in 2022. Tennesseans have been fascinated by caves for centuries, and long before that, when Native Americans inhabited the rolling landscape, they traversed the deep or dark rock masses, leaving meaningful messages uncovered thousands of years later. These are hidden treasures, and there are hidden treasures and gems everywhere, said Jan Simic, who has a long list of accolades to his name, including Distinguished Professor of Anthropology at the University of Tennessee. He's also the man who led a team that uncovered hundreds of images of prehistoric cave art. Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky in particular, but Georgia as well, is one of the richest areas for caves anywhere in North America. Nestled in these undisclosed locations are images both carved and painted on rock walls miles in ground. We've been in thousands in order to find a few hundred. We've been in thousands and thousands of caves in order to find a few hundred. One in particular discovered within the Cumberland Plateau, which cuts across Tennessee between Chattanooga and Nashville, was drawn 6,000 years ago, the oldest to date in North America. 6,000 years ago, people were hunting and gathering. They were fishing. They were highly mobile, said Sarah Sherwood, a professor of archaeology at the University of the South at Sewanee, who's part of Simic's team. She explained the reaction to cave art is still the same. There are lots of oohs that go on among all of us when you first see it. It's just so exciting. Also, along the treacherous trails are artifacts of those who traveled before. We see the Cane River torches that people use scattered all over the place, gourds that they use to pick things up with basketry, images of animals, figures, and symbols meant to record tribal events and spiritual transformations. Red is the color of life, of birth. Black is the color of death. And so it sets off this relationship between what we find in caves, which is related to the underworld, and what we find on the bluff tops, which is related to the celestial realm or the upper world, all of which were important to the indigenous people and their circle of life. This experience has sort of heightened your curiosity and creativity about the way people were living in the past, Sherwood said. It gives them much more of a three-dimensional life like our own in terms of spirituality and connections to a place and to family and to our kin, our ancestors. People can experience this wonder up close in Clarksville. That is Dunbar Cave, north of Nashville, Simic said, where a very large archaeological site had accumulated in the mouth of that cave. We know it goes that goes back 10,000 years. The site is also home to significant prehistoric Native American cave art, another stop on their journey to new discovery as they continue to preserve the past. I think we'll all keep doing it, Sherwood says, and with an infectious laugh, as long as our knees will hold up. COVID, man.
The people who believed in COVID all the way were fucking angry as shit and hateful and fucking just nasty as fuck. The ones who didn't believe it kind of just...
So the archaeologists, none of them, they were all COVID deniers, and that's how they found this cave.
Said a few things and then got attacked a little bit on the internet and like backed off and was like, what the fuck? Okay. And went on and did their thing. And like I said, for me, I got less violent over this. But here's the thing. It seems like whoever started this whole covert operation called COVID, it seems like they knew there was going to be two sides.
Oh, my God.
But they didn't know the ratio. They didn't know if it was going to be half and half or what. Really, it was the majority of the country believed it and got dumber. And a very tiny percent was like, no way, this is fucking sounds ridiculous, right?
This is why he's been telling people that he's Jesus Christ. Do you guys know he told people that he's Jesus Christ, right? That Jesus was persecuted, I was persecuted. People are yelling at Jesus, I'm Jesus. The Bible isn't what it's about. People have changed the Bible. I am Jesus Christ. So there you go.
So when the smarter half of the people who didn't believe it were like, hey guys, are you sure about this? Boom. They got attacked by the motherfuckers wearing the masks all the time. That's what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to get rid of the greater or smarter half of people because they were...
He also says that he's of Roman descent And the Romans, like from Rome, the ancient Romans settled in Nashville because there's a lot of cities around that area that are named after Roman cities. And when Nashville hosted a World's Fair, they built a replica Coliseum. Boom.
Hella outnumbered by the other ones. When you got one guy going, hey guys, I don't think this is, and then that's immediately met. What are you stupid?
He said he's half ancient Roman, half Native American. Wait, he's going to do his mask interpretation here.
Hella outnumbered by the other ones. When you got one guy going, hey guys, I don't think this is, and then that's immediately met. What are you stupid? Stop being, you fucking idiot, you Nazi. Well, then the smarter, more strategic motherfucker is going to be like, okay, bye. Adios, au revoir, juice. That's bye in 3 different other languages, but anyway. And just to carry on with my theory of wanting to get rid of...
He speaks 3 languages. He speaks 3... Did you hear that?
Juice. You Nazi! Well, then the smarter, more strategic motherfucker is going to be like, okay, bye. Adios, au revoir, juice. That's bye in 3 different other languages, but anyway. And
That's just bye in 3 different other languages. I can basically say bye in 3... I can say hi and bye in 3 languages. You want to talk about fluent motherfuckers? I'm fluid. Liquid.
Just to carry on with my theory of wanting to get rid of the greater folks or the more common sense people.
Oh, yeah, he's having a kid, dude. That kid's doomed.
Look at the internet.
I mean, it'll be rich and wealthy and never want for anything, but it'll be dumb as fuck. Is that wrong? It'll be dumber than those goddamn 6,000-year-old cave walls.
When all this was going on, you couldn't even type COVID-19. You'd be like, banned, fake, information banned. It's like, all I said was, hey, guys, I think this is...
He's got so much goddamn fucking dope in his semen. There's no... It'll probably come out with a fucking rock.
Weird. Even type COVID-19. You'd be like, banned, fake, information banned. It's like, all I said was, hey, guys, I think this is weird. I think this is weird. Banned, dumb, stupid Nazi, fuck you. So now I can't talk. So now COVID has taken over freedom of speech. Yikes. It's like if COVID was a fire, they didn't want any water. There was people like, hey, I got water. They're like, no. We're telling all the people with masks on to blow on it. And we're tricking them by saying, hey, if you blow it like a birthday cake candle, it'll go out. Not knowing if you blow on an actual fire, it makes it fucking bigger. And look what they...
Well, to an extent. You just said a birthday candle, right, Ryan? People blow out birthday. Your example was a birthday candle. People blow out birthday candles, right? They don't fucking go, okay, on 3, you're going to blow, we're going to sing. And they go, whew, next thing you know, their whole home is burnt down. Right? It's not a thing, right?
Do by saying, hey, if you blow it like a birthday cake candle, it'll go out. Not knowing if you blow on an actual fire, it makes it fucking bigger. And look what they do. Who the fuck is they? They, motherfucker, you know who they are.
They're the non-Trumps.
Implement race in this stuff. Why? I don't fucking know.
Because they want your black jobs.
Oh. Implementing race. You could be any race and be dumb or smart. This is a people thing. This is an ideology thing. This is a common sense thing. It's a war on those 3 things. It is not a war on race. I'm sorry. Actually, no, the fuck, I'm not sorry. But it's not a... This is a... Why? I don't fucking know. Implementing race. You could be any race and be dumb or smart. This is a people thing. This is an ideology thing. This is a common sense thing.
How long before Ryan blames it on the fake Jews and claims that we was Kangs, but it's Ryan?
It's a war on those 3 things. It is not a war on race. I'm sorry. Actually, no, the fuck, I'm not sorry. It's a people thing. This is an ideology thing. This is a common sense thing. It's a war on those 3 things. It is not a war on race. I'm sorry. Actually, no, the fuck, I'm not sorry. But it's not a war on race. It's a war on people who think freely and outside the box. What is the box? The fucking TV screen, the TV, all the boxes you watch every fucking thing from. You know, there's a Japanese...
The TV screen, the TV. Those were your 2 examples. What is the box? The TV screen, the TV. Cell phone, monitor, tablet. The TV and the TV screen.
General back in the day. You know, and outside the box. What is the box? The fucking TV screen, the TV, all the boxes you watch every fucking thing from. You know, there's a Japanese general back in the day. You know who I'm talking about. I don't know it word for word, but he said something like, we can't invade America because behind every blade of grass is an American with a gun. Who is America's best enemy? Themselves.
Grass.
How do you make them their own enemy? You make them believe something that's not true. You stick them in a fucking house with mirrors everywhere. and you make them fight their damn self with no one else there. Which means what? You don't even need another person to come in and actually fight that American. They're fighting themselves. Until what? Until they're tired of.
Yeah, but I think you got it backwards. You guys are led down this disinformation. Like, okay, whatever.
Fighting, and they ain't even fight nobody yet.
Holler boys of America. If you support Kamala, what did he say? Kamala. If you support Biden, I don't want you here. I don't want you here. Wow, that'll get copyright struck for sure. But Ryan, if your copyright people show this to you, you're the dumbest motherfucker on the internet right now. You're the dumbest motherfucker with an audience on the internet right now. Like most of the dumb motherfuckers I cover have like a fraction of your audience. You're dumb and popular. So fucking dumb. We could have had 19 COVIDs, and every one of them could have been bumping your IQ, and you'd still be a dumb motherfucker. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. That's Ryan Upchurch, everybody. Ryan Upchurch. I'm out of here. Thank you all for joining us. I can't wait to show you guys my tattoo. It's pretty cool. If you're a Patreon member, go check out the picture and let me know what you think. I got it from my mom and dad, so I'm kind of curious what other people think. We'll see. My mom and dad probably would have hated it. Well, they just weren't tattoo people. I don't think they would have disliked the design. Either way, thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Support the show. We're offline because that's a copyright strike for sure. Ryan uses his music copyright people to strike anything and everything unless you're one of his cocksuckers. And all his cocksuckers get to play his content for free. So it'll 100% be struck. So please consider supporting the show at coldbeer.fun because that's how we pay the bills, and this one's not making any money. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We'll see everybody on the next one. Be back tomorrow, and going to roll these things up earlier, starting earlier, and probably still going to like 12 or 1, but definitely starting earlier. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll see everybody next time. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this.
But the border bill had other things in it.
Call out.
I will not vote for the border bill because Trump said. Trump told us not to vote. Trump didn't like the border bill. He told us not to vote for it because that's what he's running on. They didn't like the other things in it.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
Come on now.
It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up because you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
You know what's sad? I don't have a wife or kids. I'm almost 34 years old. My dad had 2 kids at 27.
And they say that I'm a lunatic.
You know what the problem is, right? It's not me. It's not me. It's feminism.
Stupid shit. Where my true believer?
Feminists.
Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Temple. Thank you guys.
Fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshiping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong.
Tim Pool is trying to seem less crazy. After he said that Trump would win in a 49 or 50 state landslide, he's trying to seem like it was just a joke. He genuinely believed that he thought that everybody was waking up and everybody loved Trump, and Trump would win in a 49 or 50 state landslide in 2020, the election he lost. He's trying to make that seem less crazy by now tweeting that Kamala Harris is going to win in a 49 state landslide, which obviously is satire, but he thinks that makes him look less fucking crazy now. I don't know about that one.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped him to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder.
I'm going to have to draw up an animation with a bag of dicks, so when somebody comes in here, I can send them away with a bag of dicks.
Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. This is my mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God.
I think ARFK is probably going to swing his support behind Trump. They're waiting for when they need a bump, right? So maybe like Kamala Harris gets a bump after the DNC and naming her vice VP pick That'll give her definitely a little bump, and usually in the polls. And then that's when they'll call in RFK to drop and throw his weight behind Trump.
Round three. Down goes Nino.
He won't just do it right now. Like they need a reason for him to do it, I think.
Rocking, he was doing so well. It's all over. Hands,
who knows?
Shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They be working.
Dude, Candace Owens has gone full anti-Semite.
And they acting like they know.
Like after Ben Shapiro broke her.
All this nonsense on my
Ben Shapiro broke her mind.
Who the fuck is in my window with this time of the night? These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby-eating heathens. Believing in reason with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
I would rather him stay in if that's what happens.
Get lit, get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up.
Go watch Candace Owens' new shows on the occults, part 1 and part 2. And by occult, she means the Jews.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing.
Have a good night, guys. Love you. See you. Bye.
Guts, because you're a pussy. You're a pussy wearing aviator glasses.